Dear viewer, and welcome to Church of Uganda Family TV. As usual, this is the Family Talk Show, your best show ever. I know every Friday you are looking at the TV and you're like, when is the Family Talk Show coming in? So, Pala, it is here. This is the Family Talk Show, and my name is Claire Bwenje, your host. And you guys, I love you so very much for keeping it Family Talk Show. Today is a very beautiful evening. We are talking money. We have a very exciting topic, and that is planning and budgeting for finances as a couple. Hey, what a topic this evening. So ladies and gentlemen, call someone out there to join in and we watch together. It's a lot that we have to learn this evening. Of course, as usual, our guests are already here. Very exciting guests, very gifted, very talented, very blessed, and due to public demand, they are back here to teach us something. These are the right people meant for this topic. They have a lot to share with us out of their experience, out of their knowledge. Oh my. Today we are blessed. The word tells us that today is a day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And indeed, let's rejoice and be glad in it because the Lord has done it again. When we thought that he had done too much, Jesus did it again. Amen. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me introduce to you our guests. Our guests are none other than Mr. and Mrs. Duncun Tumuhamye. Well, Mr. Duncun Tumuhamye is a lecturer at UCU School of Business. He's also a marriage counselor and a mentor. That's amazing. And together with his dear wife, Mrs. Comfort Tumuhamye, who's also a lecturer at UCU School of Business. She is as well a marriage counselor and a mentor. You see, these people do things together. Eh? They have a lot of things in common. See how the Lord does his things. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, join me and welcome the Tumuhamyes right here. Hey, you can see the smiles on their faces. They are really excited to be here. So right here, the Tumuhamyes, please say hello to the viewers and then we hit the ground running.
Hello our viewers, good evening and praise God and Happy New Year.
Hello our viewers, good evening and praise the Lord. Happy New Year to everyone.
Wow. Okay, they want me to also say Happy New Year. You people. So anyways, I will not get tired of wishing you a blessed New Year. So our viewers, we wish you a happy New Year. May this year be a year of blessing. Amen. So anyways, like we already said, our topic this evening is a very good one and a serious one at that. You know, when we talk about finance, when we talk about money, I know ambassadors of Stingy Men Association, they start to be like, oh, what are these people talking about? Oh, the people of Sentezechi Chala. They be like, oh no, don't bring that. Anyways, that aside, let's dig into this now. So anyways, the Tumuhamyes today, my first question to you is, how can one make a budget or a financial plan for a family? I want to believe you have one. If you don't have one, you disagree right now before you disagree and you say like, no, we don't. But of course, I know you do.
Thank you so much, Claire, and thank you for welcoming us back here.
Yes.
To all our viewers, especially the marrieds, we need to appreciate that after getting married and you start a family, you'll find that your expenses increase. When you are a single boy, the life you live is not the life you're going to live when you get married. And so if you are not careful, you will live 1 year with your wife, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. When you are spending, you are eating, and yet you are earning, by the way, both of you. but there's nothing developmental you've done as a family. And so that's why we bring in this aspect of planning and budgeting as a couple. If you don't do that, it means you will spend forever and you will not develop. And yet, the world now is becoming more complicated, that we need to think outside the box and see how to develop. Because one day, if you are employed, that job will go. Where will you go when you are no longer earning? When you are no longer spending from that salary that you earn after a month? And so when we talk of planning and budgeting, we are ideally looking at that income that you are earning and how you are going to spend it. So to begin with, if you are to plan and to budget for your finances, you must list the incomes that you get, the money that you receive. As a couple, here you have to be open. If the woman is earning, if the man is earning, be open, be transparent, list all your incomes, because that's where you will base to know how much to spend, where and when. And so, Claire, when we talk of planning and budgeting, we are looking at how we are going to set our priorities and objectives and how we are going to achieve these objectives. And we have a lot, just as I've mentioned, we have a lot to spend on. But we can't do all of them in a day. We can't do all of them in a week. We can't do in a month or even in a year. So we set priorities along the way. After we've listed all our incomes, what is the routine, that routine item that we spend on every day? Then we put it, we also list it. And then we compare the much we earn and the much we are spending according to our lists. What outweighs the other? If you find that your expenses are more than your income, then it means you have to do something to make sure you're not living out beyond your means. Because you have to make sure that you are not going into debt to buy food, you are not going into debt to pay utilities, and so you have to devise means of how to increase your income but also reduce on your expenditure. Thank you.
I just wanted to add something small. When you are budgeting, as he mentioned, see how much is coming in, the income. I want to give an example. Assuming I'm earning 1 million Uganda shillings. According to the book of Malachi, we are supposed to give tithe. That is 10%. So that is 100,000 that I should first put under the expenses bit. So I have my 1 million coming in. It could be through Saturday. It could be through maybe a small scale business or any kind of anything that brings us money as a couple. Now, after having that money put aside, known by the two of you as a couple, look at, as he says, the routine. What are those things that you do spend on a daily basis, such as food? Maybe you are spending 10,000 per day on food, and so that is 300,000 per month on the part of expenses. You also remember you removed the tithe, that is 100,000. Already that is 400,000. You look at the rent, assuming you're paying 200,000. That amounts to 500,000. Then you look at the transport to work. Maybe you're near the workplace, and so you count 1,000 per day, or maybe 2,000 per month. That is 60,000. That is making it 460. What am I trying to say? Total up all those expenses. The moment you realize that the expenses that are routine especially are more than the money that you're earning, it means that you are living above your means. What should you do then? Think of how to cut those expenses. For example, if you're living in that kind of house that is maybe for 200,000, you can think of shifting because you realize you're spending more on rental expenses. Or you can think of how to increase the income, maybe doing a part-time job. It can be small scale, depending on the level of on your level, because people say there are some things I can't do, the other one says I can do this. But the point I'm raising is think of how to strike a balance between the expenses and the income, but make sure the expenses don't exceed the income because you're living a life of deficit. In other words, the money that is coming in is less than what you're spending on, and so you're living a life of debt. And in life, you become a slave. It is biblical according to Proverbs. You become a slave to somebody who lent you the money. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I warned you. I told you I've brought the gurus, the gurus in this area. I know we are learning something. I like it when you say that if you don't plan, you may end up spending forever and never develop. I also like where you said that these jobs we have will one day go away. So if you're receiving salary and you're doing nothing apart from eating and enjoying it, like some people say, if money cannot solve your problem, eat that money. If you keep eating that money because it can't solve your problem, my dear, we will hear you in news. So anyway, one of the things they told us on how we can make a budget is list the income, set priorities, right? Yeah, and also Comfort told us that we have to make sure that our income is always much than our expenses. Yeah, otherwise we will live in debt. Thank you very much. Thank you. That is really, really amazing. We are here talking much about money, about planning and, budgeting for the finances. But there is someone out there who's saying, but I have nothing to budget. I got no money. What do I budget? So anyways, I need you to help such a person. How can one grow finances in a family?
Okay, thank you, Claire. Growing finances is not easy because just as we've seen, there is a lot that is eyeing our money. You get 10,000. I mean, you see many things and you have nothing to do, and yet you have to spend it. So much as for us we're employed, we thank God for that at the end of the month we receive some money, but there is somebody who is not earning. But remember, they are spending because they will eat, they will sleep. If they fall sick, they will seek medical attention. So they have to spend. But where will that money they are spending come from? So that's why I mentioned thinking outside the box. If I'm earning this salary, how can I make sure that out of that salary, if it's 1 million, she has mentioned it, I save something. So that at the end of the month, it is earning some interest. There I will be growing my finances. If I can begin something in my compound, if I grow some food in the tins, and I will not spend on a tomato that I have to buy every day, I'll be saving some money. There is land that can be hired cheaply, and you grow some food, so that you're not spending on everything that you have to eat. And we've seen that work for us because when in our planning, we budgeted for land, we bought land through savings and through group savings, by the way, and we put their plantation. We've spent 10 years without buying matoke, and we thank God for that. So it has saved us a lot because matoke, like during Christmas, people are looking for bananas. They were very expensive. And we are saying, who are we? But it comes through planning. And so somebody, if you try that, it means you can grow your income by saving that bit. However small it is, depending on how much you are earning, you will increase your money. But also she talked about cutting expenses. If I'm coming from Family TV and I'm going to CPS, do I need to get a border? Can't I walk? And that rukumi, that 1,000 that I was going to spend, I save it. I use it for something else that can help me develop. If these things, for us men, we like fixing things at home. If I see that barabad and it can't work anymore, do I need to call an electrician to come in at that moment? Can't I check myself and see what the problem is? And then I see how if I can fix it myself, other than spending on the electrician. So some of those things will help us to cut on our expenditure, but also on growing our income. We have group savings. You know, ladies, especially in the villages, they amaze me. They have those groups. They are not salary earners, but they have a box that they put in those coins per month. They keep saving, and when they are sharing that money, it's a lot of money. It can do something for them. So those group savings help a lot because you can't do it alone. Please, you join a group saving. Your money will make more money, and you'll find that you can do something at the end of the year.
Yeah, thank you very much, Duncan. In case you have just joined in, this is the family talk show here at Church of Uganda Family TV. It happens every Friday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. The topic this evening is planning and budgeting for finances as a couple. In the studio is a great couple, the Tumuhamyes, who are the gurus in this thing. Here, they know it all. So be expectant. You are blessed because you tuned in. So before we went for the break, we were discussing how one can grow finances as a family. So one of the things Mr. Tumuhamye told us are reduce on the expenses, increase your income, reduce join saving groups, the boxes, those that you know in the village. He also concluded by telling us that money makes more money. Thank you very much, Mr. Duncun Tumuhamye, and I will ask Comfort to take it from that.
Thank you so much, Claire. How can one grow their money? I just want to throw more light on what Duncan mentioned concerning increasing your income. I could be having a formal job, like I work at Uganda Christian University School of Business, but I shouldn't think that that is enough. I can have part-time jobs. What are those part-time jobs that I can do? For example, I need to identify an area that I am passionate about, and I begin doing that. For instance, somebody could be good at public speaking and starts to work as an MC during their free time. In that way, they are able to grow their money, or they are going to have more money other than that they are officially or formally working for. But also the other way of increasing income is to create fruitful linkages. For example, Claire, you could be my friend and I sell a certain product which you know, and so you let me know, you let your friends know about what I sell, and in that way your friends will also become my clients. So I'll grow my market share because of you, Claire, who is in my social network. So I usually tell people that when you have a business, do not keep quiet about it. Tell your friends about it so that they can tell other people, and out of the 10 clients that you had in a month, you're likely to have over 1,000 because one friend of yours has other 10 who will tell other 10 about your business. Then on the case of reducing expenses, remember I mentioned when you're making a budget as a couple or as a family, make sure that the income is more than the expenses, which is not common. I want to appreciate or to recognize the fact that it is not common. Why? Because maybe we are not living within our means. So one of the ways through which we can grow our money is recognizing the fact that we are not living within our means, and we see where we can cut, accepting the reality of life that we are not living within our means, and we cut where we feel it is too much. I want to give an example. You are earning 1 million, but you're sleeping in a house of 500,000. It means you're spending 50% on just one item called rent. Remember, you have to eat. Remember, you have to take care of your elderly parents. You have to take care of other people. You know the African tradition. An implication that you're going to spend more than you are earning, meaning that you are getting debt. What am I saying? Try to recognize or appreciate the fact that you are living within your means. And I want to talk to a woman who is out there, who has put the husband on pressure to put her in that big house, yet the man is earning not even 500,000. Think of a life after this job has gone. Why do I tell people this? It is because today you have a job, tomorrow you do not have a job. I do not know how many days or months or years I am going to work with Uganda Christian University, but I am sure that at a certain time I must leave, whether I like it or not. The question is, where am I going? I must, together with my spouse, make sure that we do have a financial plan so that we know we are going to spend this, and we have what we call a discretionary income. We have this amount of money that we are going to put in these assets or things that are going to help us when we are no longer having these full-time jobs. But also maintain transparency. Why do I say it is one of the ways of making our money grow? I could be earning $1 million. Women, we are good at talking about money for chichara. Akasente ka bachara. I don't have that kasente, and a woman out there can say, now this woman doesn't know what she's talking about. The moment Duncan gets the second wife for her, she would understand what we meant. And I want to tell you that God's ways are not our ways. We shouldn't think negative when it comes to working with our spouses, thinking that he's going to do a negative thing. He has given you that spouse. What are you supposed to do? Work with them, transparently show this money, transparently agree on those financial goals, and at the end of it all, one of you or both of you are likely to come up with something that is going to make you at least save money for the good of your family. So as I end that part, I wanted to let us know that maintaining a transparency, as it is in Genesis chapter 2:24, where they say a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two shall become one. I like that bit, the two shall become one. Be transparent, so that if I have that 1 million and he has that million and we bring it together and we spend 1.2, at least 800,000 can be kept in treasury bills and bonds, can be put in business so that it makes more money. But when you keep quiet about some things, you will even fear to use that money for business because you know that your spouse is going to get to know about it. So we can grow our savings through maintaining financial transparency. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, thank you very much, Kapat. I like it when you say that we should begin with an end in mind. If, for example, you have that job and you're earning that good money, you're not sure it is not going to be forever. So if you have that chance, utilize that chance to save that money or invest that money, grow that money. That's really amazing. And as teachers, as I kept on listening and I was looking out for one thing, you to tell us to go and learn about financial management. I think it's very important. If you do not have this knowledge of the do's and the don'ts of money, you will have it and it will be useless. Yeah, so that is one thing I was looking for. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much. We have to grow our money, small or big, we have to grow it. So we are here talking about, planning and budgeting together as a couple. So I want us to appreciate this fact that we are different people. For example, as a couple, you might find there is one who is the ambassador of Stingy Men Association. So stingy, his money is his money, and he wants to keep it. And then there is also a lady, just an example, who is the ambassador of, hey, don't see a bag of cement in every money. Let me eat my money. Life is short. You see already, those are two different people. One really wants to spend the money and also invest the money into developmental things here and there. Then the other really wants to enjoy life. Eat every coin and save none. Tomorrow will take care of itself. So anyways, from your experience, how can you help such a couple? What are some of the things that you can tell them to help them organize their money or bring money together, plan for it and grow it?
Thank you so much, Claire. That's a big challenge, and it's very common amongst couples. And just as I mentioned in the beginning, that we need to appreciate that this is our family. And unless we sit together and plan together, budget together for our family, then we shall not grow. We shall not develop. Because it's one thing actually to plan, but it's a totally different thing to do according to your plan and the budget. So if you're a couple there and you are not coming together to plan, that's a mistake. Because there is no way that woman or that man will bring their money on the table unless you have planned and you know what it's going to do. But there are some couples who say, I will not give my husband money because I know he will eat it, or he will take it to another wife, or he will. Those things are there. So it begins from planning together. Draw a plan, budget together for your family, because this is your family. If you don't want me to see your money, where are you taking it? Do you have another family? What are you planning? You're planning it for who? If you're not planning it for your family. So it begins with planning together. Couples out there, please, 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 let's appreciate that we are married. We became one. And so let's plan for our families. And it brings in that transparency that I will not hide any source of my income. If I have a 13th check that I'm receiving at the end of December, at the end of the year, I should be in position to tell my wife that this is how much I received for this year from my employer. I shouldn't hide anything. So it has a lot of transparency. And until you come together as a couple, I beg, until you come together as a couple and plan for your family, things will not work out the way they would have worked. So, I mean, in most couples, there's usually a spender. And there is this person, this other spouse who is careful as they spend, a saver. And so for us, what we did, we identified who is who.
I'm tempted to ask. I'm tempted to ask, but may the Lord grant us the grace. I'm not asking.
For me,
Comfort, why are you laughing so much?
and it doesn't mean that when I'm a spender, I'm spending on luxurious things or what. Not necessarily, although there are some that are luxurious. But here we are looking at, if we have planned and budgeted for our family, and we are supposed to do A, B, C, D, why should I do F before we do B? Because that is what was on our list.
True.
And we know, and we agreed, and that's what it should be. But there's this one person who has to come out and say, hey, look here. When we were budgeting, we listed this, and this is the time. The money is available. We have to do it. Otherwise, there are many things that take our attention. And you find when even time has passed, a year has passed, and you have not done it, just because no one was following it up. So amongst yourselves, look at that person who is a saver, and let them be in charge. Be in charge. Take that responsibility of keeping that record, of reminding you always that, by the way, we have 1 month to do this that we budgeted for. So this money should be put aside already. That will help that you implement. You implement what you budgeted for. Otherwise, you'll find that everybody is doing their own thing and you'll not achieve what you planned for.
I just wanted to add something. When you mentioned who is a spender, we may not mention it here, but the truth is that we are different. And I want to indeed re-echo what he has mentioned, that it doesn't mean that a spender is luxurious, wants to go into the other things, but wants to do X, yet you agree to do A and B. So the saver is there to help the spender, the so-called spender, be able to do that that was budgeted for. So for us, we agreed, okay, one of us is a saver, another one is a spender. So we usually have a budget. And Claire, I just want to tell you that for us, we have a 5-year plan.
Wow.
And in that 5-year plan, we have what we have. We spread, okay, we divided different things that we want to do in 5 years. Even if you ask that, we wedded in 2006, and by 2011 our first 5 years had elapsed, and thank God we achieved 90% of what we had planned to do. 2011 to 2016 we did another one. 2016 to 2021, we did another one. Last year, we did another one. It will shock you, but we did the one for 10 years this time. So we have from 2022 to 2032, the things that we are supposed to do.
Wow.
We recognized the fact that one of the reasons we are failing in our first 5 years was because we wanted to do too many things at the same time. So we said, let's handle one at a time. We also recognize that we are totally different. Those who listened to us in November when we were here, I mean in December when we were here, we told you that in our first 5 years of marriage, it was disaster. As in, we wanted to do whatever we wanted to do, which was not good at an individual level. But after those 5 years, we realized that we can sit together and we can really achieve our year's plans if we sit together and identify a spender and a saver. After identifying that, so the saver, this is what we do. The saver makes sure that she communicates every end of month. We have a day in a month where we meet to talk about money talks, and we review whether we're able to achieve what we planned the previous month. Because much as we have a 5-year plan, we break it down into 12 months, 1 year. Then in a year, still we have quarterly things that we are supposed to do. So we ensure that every month we check. So the spender in this case is reminded by the saver that, you know what, we have to do A, B, C, D. What are we saying? Recognize the fact that you are different. Appreciate the talents or the God-given gifts that your spouse has, and utilize them, because God, according to the parable of talents in Matthew chapter 25, it is very clear. You're given 1 and you bring 2. You're given 5, you bring 10. You're given 2, you bring 4. But the one who kept the other one did not achieve what he wanted. What am I saying? God has given you that spouse for a reason. It could be a woman, it could be a man, and you're taking that spouse for granted. Yet in real sense, this person is there to help you save and invest your money if you allowed this person to exploit their potential. Thank you.
Wow, that is well said. Yeah, the Lord created us different for a reason. What is not in Duncan, it is in comfort. So when you come together, it is for your own good to help each other. So like you said, you identify who is a saver and who is a spender. The saver helps a spender. Oh dear Lord. After all, they are all the S's. Don't worry. There is an S and an S here. Anyways, that's really important. I appreciate the fact that you have really done plans. You started with a 5 plan, now 10-year plan. That's really amazing. That means it has worked for you.
Yes.
So would you please share with us how important planning and budgeting is, or how has it helped you?
Okay, thank you so much once again, Claire. By the way, when you are planning and budgeting as a couple, she has told you at the end of every month we meet, you are bonding. It creates that bond between you that as you talk, as you plan, as you are coming closer. So that alone is important. We need that in our marriages, but also in our families. And so, apart from that, you not be under pressure. You live when you are contented. First Timothy 6 tells us about contentment. We are not fighting for everything in this world. And when we are talking of planning and budgeting, we are not saying you plan and budget and go and build buildings, construct buildings in Kampala. No. We want to live a life that we can get our basic necessities of life. And so when you're living that life of knowing the money lender is not going to knock at your door and then they want to sell your house and then they want to do this and then you are on pressure. Why? Because you didn't budget, because you didn't plan, you didn't set priorities. But if you have planned and budgeted and you've set your priorities right, and you know that this year we are only paying those debts that we had, we are not going to do any other thing, then you are contented. You know, after all, I don't expect any house, so I'm not on pressure. So that's very important, that you live a life of contentment. That's very important, and we need it. Otherwise, people have died of pressure. People have shifted from their homes because of money lenders. So this is very, very important. Another thing is that when we plan and budget, we are able to check our spending. Because we want to spend within our budget. What we planned and budgeted for is what we are looking at. Another thing that comes in, unless it's an emergency, which we also have to budget for by the way, we have to budget for emergencies. But something else will not come, and then you think you can spend on it when you have not budgeted for it. So it helps us to check our spending. She can add on.
The other reason as to why it is important for a couple or a family to plan or budget for their finances is for peace in the marriage. I want to give an example. Because we have a budget, I'm in charge of record keeping. I am the family secretary.
Hey.
So
Wow.
we have an expenses book. Duncan mentioned it's one thing to budget, but it's another thing to implement. Most people stop at budgeting and don't implement what they have budgeted. So for us, because we have that plan or the budget, we have a day's we call it the expenses book. Every evening, in case he has spent any money or I have spent any money, we come to the book and we write that day's expenses. For example, we have spent fuel coming to family TV, so it has to appear family TV transport. We put it as the expense. Now, when you put it there, assuming he's the one who has put that fuel in the car and I am not in that car, I won't begin to ask where did the money go, because in the budget we put transport for the whole month. Are you getting me? We put the transport for the whole month. Now he is spending on transport to Kampala, or maybe you have something to do with corporate social responsibility and he meets someone and someone is given something, he writes it. I will have my peace because I have seen it in the expenses book. It brings peace and harmony in the marriage. You won't go saying my spouse uses money and I do not know how the money goes. Then the other reason as why it is important for you to have a budget is you'll be able to develop a saving culture if you recognize the fact that you are spending everything. You'll think outside the box. You'll be like, hey, I plan to spend $1 million, but I've spent 1.2. Don't I need to reduce on my expenses? You begin to think outside the box. But when you just spend like that, there is a possibility that you will not even recognize that you are even spending money that is not yours, the money that maybe you have borrowed. What am I saying? One of the reasons as to why it is important for you and me and any couple listening to us to budget is that when you budget, you'll be able to see areas that require improvement so that you work on them and you begin to think outside the box and you have the element of saving, and out of saving you invest. Because remember we said there is need to increase income. You're going to think of how to increase the income because you're seeing that whatever is coming in is being spent. That is what I can say for now. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. It helps them to check their spending. It helps them to evaluate themselves, know how they are spending, how they are saving, how they are investing, and it also helps in keeping peace. But I also have this question that came out of your, what you were sharing. If what do you do? For example, comfort. Maybe you have many of your friends, and maybe today one of your friends has a birthday, another one, and your close friends, by the way, for example, your oggies or what, something like that, has a birthday, another friend the next month has an anniversary, and these are your close friends, and you find like in a space of 5 months you have to buy something for them. Like your close friends, like you cannot, for example, they gifted you, and of course you have to gift them back, So, and it happens like in a space of 5 months. So what do you do? Because it's not part of, your budget and all that, and you're telling us we have to stick to our budget. If we have said we spend on ABC, let's not start from X. So like, how do you do that? And then Duncan, how do you feel about that when you go to open that book and you find month 1, comforts friend, month 2, comforts friend, month 3, comforts A? What happens?
Wow, thank you so much, Claire. I thank God that my friends know who I am. We those close ones, because you've mentioned close ones. The difference between the close and the outer ones is that the closer ones, they understand me, they know my principles. In the budget, we have when we are writing the expenses, there is what we call the personal expenses. It's not, for instance, in the budget, we can say Comfort's personal expenses can be 200,000. It's an example. Meaning that the 200,000 on that budget is entirely for Comfort. It is up to me to spend it the way I want to spend it. I can say, Claire, you have a party next week. Out of my 200,000 that was allocated to Comfort's personal expenses in the family meeting. I don't know whether I'm clear.
Yes. That's what.
Yes. So Claire, I will pick 50,000 and maybe buy for you like a small bag. Then the following week, maybe Prim, my friend, she has a birthday. I buy for her a gift of 30. Lydia, I buy for her a gift of 50. I have maybe Emily, I buy for her a gift of 30. The money is finished. When you come after then, I am sorry, I don't have what to give you, because it is going to be more than what was allocated to me. My friends know that I give them in accordance to what I can afford when I have. And when I don't have, they are at peace. Thank you.
The bits that I love, you have personal budgets.
Yes. Personal.
That is actually what I was looking for. Yeah. So thank you very much. I told you these are our stars. They know it. So what are some of the factors that one should consider in preparing family budgets?
Thank you, Claire. The major factor is the income, just as we said, because that's the basis. If you don't have income, then you have nothing to spend. So the major factor is the income. How much income do you earn? How much money do you earn? How much income comes in? For both of you, if you are earning, if you have a business, or we all have a business, or have a family business, how much income are we generating at the end of the month, or the year, or the 6 months? And so that will give us a guide on what to budget for, because we have to be realistic. When we are setting these goals and objectives, we need to be realistic. They should be achievable. We are not going to just dream and think things will just work out. So we have to consider how much income we've listed, and that's where we shall base to make our budget. That's one. Then another thing, we have to consider our spending. We've talked about this, our spending habits. I mean, if she has said, if I'm spending more and she's a saver and I'm a spender, we need to put that into consideration. How are we going to handle that? How much am I going to spend on ABCD this year? Can we afford this? How can we control this? And that can be guided by what you spent in the last budget, if you did it anyway. But the past performance, past expenditure informs what you are likely to spend next. So that is another consideration, that look at the pattern of spending for the previous time, and then it will guide on how much you are going to spend. And next time you put that also into consideration, the past expenditure patterns.
Yes. I would like to add, the other factor to consider when you are budgeting for finances is the family needs. I want to re-echo family needs. I'm not saying family wants. A need is something you can't do without. A want is something you can do without. For example, I may not do without food. Food, shelter, and clothing are needs. But I can do without a car because life can move on. Now, when you're budgeting, the priority should be put on needs. the ones can come in after recognizing the fact that you have enough income. I don't know whether that is clear. So when you look at the family needs, how much are the family needs going to take? If, for example, you are getting 1 million and you find that the family needs are going to be for 700,000, it means that those are a must spend on, whether we like it or not. And if we realize that the family needs are more, as I said at the beginning, we need to see how best we can cut on those expenses. So when you are budgeting, recognize the extent to which the family needs are going to affect you, so that you have some little balance that you can use for saving and investing for the sake of sustainability in finances for your family. Then the other factor to consider could be the current situation. There has been persistent increase in prices of recent, and so when you're budgeting, you don't say 1 kilogram of rice is 2,000. You can base on the previous, on how the prices have been increasing to determine how much it is likely to be after 2 months. And actually, something else that maybe we could have forgotten to mention is that in case I have a part-time job and I get, for example, 300,000 this month, the following month I get 100,000, it's important when you're budgeting, you budget using that little, the lower figure, the 100,000, not the 300,000. Otherwise, your budget will be unrealistic if you base on the high figure and you end up getting the lower figure. So you base on the current economic situation as you make your budget, on how the money is coming and how you are likely to spend it. Thank you.
Wow, that's I'm enjoying this. I love this. I wish time was our friend, but unfortunately time is not our friend. But we are going to, talk about this very last one, and then you'll share your last remarks and we get out of here. So what are some of the challenges that you have faced in trying to implement this planning, budgeting, and also, maintaining this that you have planned and also budgeted?
Thank you so much. The major challenge is the time. We don't give time to this as a couple, as a family. You find we have many things to do, and we think sitting and plan and budget for our family finances is not a priority. But we've purposed to do it. We intended to do it. But it used to be a challenge. Now we are trying to fight it. So that's why we set aside every month to meet and money talk. Another challenge is that always you find your income is less than what you want to spend on. It's a big challenge, and of course that calls for foregoing many different things that you would desire to have, because when you are budgeting, you are setting priorities, you will forego many things. You wish to have them, but you can't get the money. So that's a challenge. Money is never enough. It's not enough. As we plan, we look at this, we say, anyway, let's push it to 3 years, because we can't have it now. So you find you are living without that television because you can't budget for it now, you can't afford it. So that's another challenge. She can add on.
The key challenge I have personally faced is some of my friends not understanding me. Yes. As a woman, they expect me to behave in a certain way. If it is an outing, they call you, let's go contribute. I end up not contributing because it is not within our budget. Maybe the personal money, remember what I mentioned, the money that was allocated to me has been used up. Or you find that we budgeted for those activities, but the money is what? Is over. Yet I should be a part. But I cannot be part. Why? Because the family budget is saying it is finished. The money is finished. So the challenge I've faced is that some of my friends actually call me a stingy woman. Yes, when I don't have, I don't have. I will not go to borrow in the name of going for a certain outing or going to give my friend a gift, yet it is not part of our budget. I will not look at Claire and I say, I want to have that kind of dress that Claire has because she is a lecturer like me, and so I should also have it. No, people don't understand me. Claire, what we forgot to tell you is that we buy clothes twice a year. For children, but for us, the two of us, we buy once a year. It is funny, but that is what we do because we try to live within our budget. You can see me in a cross this year, you will see it next year, you'll see it next year but one, and I am okay with it. So my friends do not understand me, but I understand myself and my spouse understands me. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow.
To our listeners there, thank you so much. One thing we've done that has helped us as a family is buying in bulk. We have a big family, and so we buy sacks of posho, sugar, and we save a lot. If you have to buy a kilo every day, it would be a lot. But also group buying, consortium buying. If you can, you have 4 families and you buy a sack and you share it, you find that you are spending less than buying in piecemeal every day. So that would be one way of cutting your expenditure. Otherwise, thank you very much. We love you. And may God bless you.
My ending remarks are, Proverbs 16:2 says, commit whatever you do to the Lord and you will succeed. Whether you plan or not, whether you plan and you don't have Christ at the center, you are doing nothing. I beg our listeners to commit their plans to the Lord according to Proverbs 16:2, and I am sure that they will succeed because God, being at the center of everything, He makes the impossibilities possible. May the Lord bless you.
Wow, wow, thank you very much, the Tumuhamyes. I know people out there is something that we have taken home, honestly speaking. If you haven't learned something, let's pray for the Lord to help you. I love what you said. We have to commit everything in the hands of God. We may plan, we may budget, we may do all these things, but remember, the plan of God prevails. His is the most important. So anyways, this comes to the end of the Family Talk Show. Thank you very, very, very much for keeping it the Church of Uganda Family TV. It is always exciting. We are always happy to know that you are out there following, loving, sharing, and liking our content. We love you so very much, and from me, Claire, your host, is I love you, and from me and the Tumuhamyes, it is a bye-bye and God bless you. See you again next